Greetings, 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 everyone. I hope everybody had a good weekend. A little chillier than usual. So, everybody's just hanging in there trying to get it done, I guess. Yeah, lots of rain too. I know, I'm telling you. It's been pretty messy. I was in Texas for the weekend. Americans saw fit to cancel 2 of my flights back and leave me stranded. So, you know, and it was very, very hot, and I didn't have a particularly pleasant weekend either. So I completely understand. All right. Okay, so what we're going to do tonight is I'm going to go over, hit the chapter lightly, because this is the marketing in the digital age, and y'all have a project with that, and with marketing, with digital media and social media. And I hope that y'all read this chapter, because it really is a great chapter. And it's really important that people at the point in your life, students who are going to be getting jobs in marketing, that you are very aware of social media and of actually any kind of marketing in the digital age. Because being young, they're going to make assumptions that y'all probably know all about social media. And believe it or not, you may be hired for one thing, but what might land in your lap is doing all the updating on Twitter, or, putting up a YouTube page or whatever it happens to be, because there's an association that goes on with people who aren't as digitally competent, that anyone in your generation is very digitally competent. So be surprised how often my students tell me that they've ended up being the person who takes care of the social media. So this is a really important chapter, and there's a lot of things going on right now with social media in healthcare and in general. So we're going to just kind of hit on some of the high points, and then y'all's project is due on Sunday. So after, we're going to spend about 30 minutes on the chapter. And then I'm going to force y'all into working in groups together for probably another 30 to 45 minutes, so that you can get everything tied off together and ready to, submit and ready for your presentations. And then I will be here to, I'll be checking in and out of your groups, so that if you have any questions about the presentation or about what's necessary or anything like that, I'm right here to help you, as well as be enforced time on you to work with your groups. I know it's always easy to put off, and the time to put off is over. So, okay, do I have any questions right now? I sent y'all an email, I don't know, maybe an hour ago, with extra credit opportunities. 2 really good ones. HCA is putting on an Excel workshop. That's another thing that all our preceptors are talking about, that the students really need to be aware of Excel and what you can do in Excel, and should have some at least rudimentary knowledge when you start with in the program. So that there's a great presentation. I believe it's tomorrow at 6. I sent you the link, and you will get extra credit for it. Then there's another one, I think on the 2nd, there's another one, I think on the 2nd, and that one is for APA, and you'll also get extra credit for that. So do I have any I can't remember, do I have any of my student forum officers in this class? I know I have 2 or 3 in my morning class. Anybody? Okay, I guess not. I couldn't remember. Okay, so those are 2 extra credit opportunities. That's 4 points that just gets added right to the top of your total at the end. So it can add up. If you do all of them, you can get as much 10, 12 points added on to your overall average. Okay, overall points. All right, so what we're going to do first, let me think. My computer crashed while going. My PowerPoint's not up there anymore. Give me a second to get it back up there. Wrong one. Okay. Okay, so marketing in the digital age. Okay, the new face of competition. Marketing is extremely important in today's world because there is so much competition everywhere you turn. So it's being felt across many, many industries. For instance, when you're looking at financial services, in 2018, there were more bank closures. Bank branch closures reached an all-time high with 1,947 bank branches were closed. In 2015, there were only 1,251, and that was still substantial. As you know, the branches are the places that you see like in little strip centers, in Walmart, in Target, in Ralph's, wherever where they used to have banks, and they were literally open, every day of the week, just about. And it made it very convenient for people to go do their banking. However, in recent times, they had less and less business. Does anybody, I can't see you, so you're just gonna have to holler out. Does anybody have, what's your idea as to why these branches aren't being used as much anymore? Anybody?
Online banking?
You got it. You hit the nail on the head. Online banking. People no longer need to go to the bank for almost anything other than getting cash, and you can do that in ATM. Because you can take pictures of checks and deposit them. You can check your bank account. You can just about anything that you used to do at one of the branches, you can now do online. So it's literally eliminated the need for all these banking branches. Then if you look at entertainment, digitizing has literally changed the face of entertainment also. Let's look at COVID. People used to have to go to a movie theater in order to see first run movies, but during COVID, no, the theaters were closed, and even the ones that were open, nobody wanted to go because who wants to be sitting in that dark wondering who's sitting right next to you, whether they have something that you're going to catch. So the entertainment industry had to come up with something else also to continue to make money. So they started sending movies, first run movies, up through various services, Paramount, HBO, Netflix, Hulu, well, all of them began to have first run movies that were created, for the purpose of being shown digitally right off the bat. So it had tremendous effect, and being able to do that. As far back as like 2010, there was a store that used to be called Blockbuster. And I don't know, y'all might not even been born when it was really heavy and very, very popular, but it was a place where you could rent videos, and actually VHS is how they started. And those things have been gone a long time. Then they began to rent the DVDs, and from there they were also renting CDs and games and all kinds of things. And you would go to the store and you'd rent them, you'd join, you'd be a member, and then you'd rent them for 2 days or 3 days or whatever for X amount of dollars. And then, return them after you had gotten through watching them a dozen times or whatever. But then in 2010, Netflix was founded by a Silicon entrepreneur who was hacked off because he had $40 in late fees for Blockbuster. He could have bought the movie. So he said there had to be a better way. So he created Netflix and started streaming. So, that kind of eliminated, Blockbuster wasn't the only one, but it was one of the main ones. There was also Redbox, which I still see those around occasionally. Those are the vending type machines that you see outside Walgreens and CVS and different places where you can rent the video there and then return it anywhere where there's one of those red boxes to return it at. But those are kind of disappearing too. So things are changing. Another thing that is suffering more because of all these other companies privately doing these digital movies and digital shows is the cable companies. A lot of people are stepping away from the cable companies and instead looking at what they watch the most and then just getting that app and paying that app. You can get almost any channel on some app. You can get it on, like some of the older channels you can get on Friendly. You have Netflix and Paramount, which is in cahoots with Walmart, and they have, all their, all their own things. And each one of them has something that's a draw. And they do that so that you will join them, even if you joined others, so you end up paying probably more than you do for cable because you can't get everything you want in one spot. But if you don't want a lot, like I know people who just like ESPN Plus because all they like all day long is sports. I personally don't have ESPN Plus anywhere on anything I own, but a lot of people do. So they're able to get it much cheaper if that's all they want. So digital communication, digital services, digital, the internet is really changing the face of the way we see the world. Another one is hospitality and travel. Those two also have been, I guess I would say, bothered by all the new internet type things. It's caused a devastating, has a devastating effect on like travel. For instance, travel agents, you used to couldn't book your own tickets hardly at all. You had to go through a travel agent and they would set you up with whatever companies they really liked. And it may have been a good deal for them, but maybe not such a good deal for you. And now you've got places like Expedia and Orbitz and, Tickets for Less and, all these various companies that will search the web over to get you the best possible prices. So you don't need the travel agent anymore. Hotels are suffering also because of the Airbnbs. You can go up online and you can find somebody's house you can get for probably half of what a hotel would cost you. So, all these things are part of this progressive digital world that we live in. Some of the other things that have taken the place have been kind of almost run out of town are like taxi cabs, Uber and Lyft. People, can get an Uber or Lyft faster and cheaper than a cab. And so cabs aren't near as, used to. I was at the DFW airport, one of the many places that American decided to leave me stranded. And they told me they gave me a voucher for a taxi, and they said, oh, the taxis are down there 24 hours a day. So I went down there, and of course it was closed. There was no taxi stand. And so I went stomping back up there, and they said, well, you can go get an Uber or a Lyft on this floor. They said, but we don't pay for that. They said, or you can go back down to the taxi stand and you can see if you can find a phone on contacting somebody. So I went back down because I don't really care. I don't generally use Uber or Lyft. And so I went back down and I did find a phone, but it took like 20 minutes for the cab to get there. At DFW, they used to be lined up all the time. So cabs are suffering also, due to the way our world is changing and how easy it is to get you can have an Uber usually, I'm told, in 5 minutes from wherever you're at because they're just roaming all over the place. And cabs, you got to wait for them. So other types of things that we look at are the interactive on-demand mobile health apps. like you can have video visits with physicians. There's one called MD Live, which is interactive. Walgreens has one that you can use to find the exact doctor you're looking for. There's the EHR records now that are available to you basically 24 hours a day, because everything is digital. And, there can be an upside and a downside to that, but it has certainly become more transparent and people are able to take control of their health records. It's not like it used to be. I can remember when if you had to go from a different doctor to a specialist, perhaps, you had to go physically pick up your records. Usually it was in the dungeon of some hospital. And then you usually had to wait for them. And they were in, they usually had the x-rays and everything in them in these big brown envelopes. And then you took them to the new doctor who then had to have time to look at them and blah, blah. So all that has changed. Now it's done instantaneously. You also have the availability of emailing or texting doctors, facilitating the reading of lab results. They get to doctors faster than having to have to go by carriers. So there's all kinds of things that are good and bad that digital tools, are now available for. You have Moore's Law, which was named after the founder of Intel, and he recognized that transistors were shrinking so fast that you could fit twice as many onto a chip, leading to the wearable health devices. So when you think about the wearable health devices, they're not intended to replace a doctor or even to diagnose conditions. They're just intended to keep you aware of your what's going on. They're not, they should not be replacing a doctor and letting you diagnose yourself. Okay, so the patient journey proceeds along the healthcare path with awareness of conditions and symptoms, knowing when to seek help, then obtaining the care, and then the treatment. Then hopefully you would have some sort of behavioral change that might have caused that, and you'd be more proactive with your health. There's a FDA Digital Health Innovation Act, which focuses on medical labs that present that present high risk to patients. So what they're afraid of, what the FDA is afraid of, that people are using these digitized medical applications to diagnose themselves, which can actually cause extended problems because, you don't know everything a doctor knows, and neither does that app. It is, artificial intelligence, but it's not meant for the purpose of replacing a doctor. All right, in the digital environment, search engines are important, but so are the websites. So you need to know which websites to go to, which you can depend on, and which you shouldn't go to. There's a lot of websites out there. MD something, I forgot. Who can tell? What is the name of that one that has all the different MD something? I'm blanking on it right now. Anybody can tell me? WebMD, right? WebMD, right. Okay, that you can get a lot of information from, but it's not, again, meant to replace a doctor. It's an information source. Okay, this is just a chart that's in the book, and it shows the patient journey. You can start with monitoring your condition, and then you can start with wellness and preparation, symptom onset, diagnosis, treatment, and then monitoring, and then all over again. You can, at any point, you can enter this cycle, but all of these things are aids and not, not meant for you to be able to self-diagnose and self-treat. That's even worse. So, actually, there's really nothing new under the sun. We think all of these fancy fandangled pieces of equipment and stuff are a brand new idea, a brand new everything, but they're actually just innovative, meaning that as far back as 1924, they had radio doctors, who you could call in and talk to. So interactive healthcare has been around a very long time, almost 100 years since the first radio shows. There was a survey done, and it said that between the ages of 35 and 49, you're probably going to own a smartwatch, and you're probably, that's the age most likely to own it. And then they went on to say that regardless of age, ethnicity, or gender, people are using a multitude of the apps. But the smartwatch seems to be more prevalent among 24 to 49-year-olds. Okay, there's things like the electrocardiogram for the iPad, which is, a really neat thing and not very expensive actually. And now I've seen them, they even have them for the iPhones as well as the iPads. So all the time they are, improving and innovating. I mean, all you have to do is watch the Shark Tank Health Edition, and you see all kinds of new things that, you don't even know exist. So again, this is part of the health cycle. You go through the diagnosis, and then you have monitoring conditions. And for many years, they've monitored people at home. Maybe they didn't do it via the web, but they did it via telephone. I can remember 25 years ago, and my dad was being monitored with it looked like a suitcase, and it was a piece of equipment, and we'd hook it up to him, and it would send back by telephone line whatever conditions they were looking for, whatever his what was going on, his heart rate, anything that happened to be going on, they would get by telephone line. So what's happened is that it's now just, much easier, much simpler, much faster. You don't need a big piece of equipment. You don't need a telephone line. You just need the internet. Okay, but there are still barriers. And some of those barriers include the quality you actually get, when you're using some of these apps. Other things are, one of the main ones is your access to technology. The issues now are that even though we think that everyone has technology, not everybody does. And even if you do have, like say, a cell phone or an iPad, if you don't have cellular service, it's not going to do you much good. I can tell you down in West Texas, you're walking down the street holding the phone above your head, in front of you, behind you, wherever you can put it, because, there's miles and miles of nothing, when you just have no service. And at one point, I was driving from El Paso, and I never left the United States. I was driving from El Paso to San Antonio, and my service was coming in from Mexico, believe it or not. So, and that was very weak at that. So there are just some areas that just don't have enough towers yet. And people that live way out in the middle of nowhere, they don't have that service. So not everybody does have access to it. And getting patients to engage in it, that's also difficult. Your age bracket, your generation is more likely to engage in it than, someone in their 50s, 60s, 70s, because they're more likely to want to go and see a doctor face-to-face. The cost of devices is really expensive, and the more intricate and the more it does and the more innovative it is, the more it's going to cost. So it's not a perfect world. Okay, then you have beyond the patient journey. And again, people in today's world want transparency. Used to, doctors would just tell you, this is what you need to do, and that's the way it is. And people would accept it. But now consumers want to know why. They want an answer to why, and they want an answer to options. They just don't want to be told anymore. So it's all part of this great big cycle that has all these little arms within the cycle. So it's no longer a case of like in the 40s, 50s, 60s, where you go to the doctor, he says, you know, you need your tonsils taken out, and you say, okay, where do I go? Now someone would say, well, I need a second opinion. Maybe I want to keep my tonsils, or whatever it happens to be. So it's transparency is extremely important now in today's world. Also, brand protection. You need to worry about that no matter what kind of business you're in, because people will do things like the other day, I can't remember what it was, but I saw an advertisement that looked just like the logo of this company that they were advertising for, but they changed one letter, kind of like they do the Rolex watches. They changed instead of saying Rolex, it'll have ROL, EK or E something else, it'll change just one letter, where they're not infringing directly on your name, but they are infringing on your good name. They're on your trademark. And so, they get away with it, because companies typically don't sue unless because it costs more money to sue than it does to just kind of treat it like a gnat, just kind of bat it away, or ignore it unless it starts causing too much bad PR for you. Because along with getting your business, they can also create bad PR for people who think they're actually dealing with your company when they're dealing with the fake company. I usually show a video on this, but I opted to not show it this time because I wanted to give y'all more time to work together. But I will send you a link for the video I normally show. And it just shows how all these different things are connected. The Internet of Things is all the various devices are connected to clouds, the data, the cloud, the device, everything is all connected together. And marketers can follow the patient all along their journey when they view a digital advertisement. So the Internet of Things is just everything that's out there. It's kind of mind-boggling when you think about all the things that are out there on the cloud and how people can actually get access to it from anywhere. It's really kind of amazing. And more and more, the clouds, I think, are getting more crowded and more crowded and more crowded, but we still seem to keep moving forward. Okay, so this is just a picture of the Internet of Things with healthcare and all the different things that get shot up to the cloud. If you just think about everything that is included in these various parts of healthcare. Okay, let me get out of here. Okay, do I have any questions on marketing? I think it's one of the most interesting chapters. I really, it amazes me how things have changed so much over the years. I'll just tell you a little quick story to kind of give y'all a kind of a firsthand experience of how things have changed. When I first got out of high school 100 years ago, Scott and White in Temple, which is still going strong, it's in several of our textbooks, they talk about Scott and White. They recruited me to work as a file clerk for them. And in those years, you had this long manila folder, like like just those plain old 8.5 by 11 folders, but they were long. And they had, what you would do is all the lab tests, you would stick them in that folder. And they had like little slots that you would, it had glue on the back of the lab results. And then you would run that across the top of a sponge, a damp sponge, and stick it in that folder. Nothing was computerized. Nothing was, everything was strictly done by hand and done on paper copies. And I was kind of a young and dumb, 17-year-old. And I ran out of water on my sponge. And so I just started licking it and sticking it on there. And one of the supervisors came up and she said, those things get all kinds of stuff dripped on them when they're in the labs. I thought, okay, this is it. I do not like this job. But But in today's world, there's no such thing. Everything is electronic. Okay, do I have any questions? Anybody?
No
Everybody?
questions.
Uh-huh.
No questions.
No questions. Okay. All right. Well, I must have done a good job explaining it then. Okay, so I'm going to open up the breakout rooms. It is now 7:30. I'm going to require y'all to stay till at least 8 so that y'all will be forced to work on your stuff. And I will check in with you in each of the rooms to see if y'all have any questions about your presentation or about what gets turned in or, or anything like that. But at this point, I'm going to require y'all unless I pop into your room and you tell me it's all done and already uploaded, and then I'll let you escape. So you're going to self-select into your room, the group number is your room number. And I will pop in and see y'all in a bit. So y'all need to start selecting in. Janika, are you here? Janika? Janika, are you here? Hello?
Professor, I'm trying to find my group, but I
You're
don't
group
see
2.
them.
I just sent you there, I think.
Okay.
Okay, Brianna, are you having trouble?
Yes.
Okay, you're in group 2 also. Do you want me to send you there?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm trying to find you. Where are you? I don't see you on my list. Let me see. That's weird. Wow. I can't even, you're not showing up on my main list for some reason. So I can't send you. Are you do you see the breakout room too? There you go.